Hey guys, Rebecca here from homeschoolon.com, and today's video, take a break and have a cup of coffee and just zone out for a second. You're allowed to do that in your homeschool. Discussion topic is when you're feeling totally overwhelmed with everything you have to fit in. I know that's a long discussion topic. Let's make it when homeschooling seems too much. So I hope you have a cup of tea. I wish I did, and let's talk. All right, you guys, so homeschooling is a lot, right? I mean, trying to fit in your multiple kids and your multiple ages and your multiple different curriculums and your extracurricular stuff and your home and your husband and everything that you have going on in your life, which is probably a lot more than that, is insane. It's insane. Whoever sat down and said that homeschooling is relaxing and you get to stay in your pajamas, and there's like a few tiny little grains of sand of truth in that. There is. I mean, I like being in my pajamas. I'm not going to lie. I like the lack of pressure to get up early and get my kids to school and all those other things. However, I don't find it super relaxing. I don't know if anyone out there finds homeschooling super relaxing. Then we need to talk, and you need to guest post on my blog because I need to hear from you. But I think that for the most of us, and I think this is probably most of us who are more type A, more easily stressed and anxious and feel a lot of pressure, which is me, that for those of us homeschoolers, homeschooling in and of itself is not a relaxing endeavor. So when we're trying to juggle everything with our many hands, it can be frustrating, and you can even feel a sense of anxiety and stress and pressure when you are going through the actual motions of your homeschool day, and those unfortunately get passed down to our kids. And I know that I talk about this a lot, probably because it's so relevant to my life, but I talk about it a lot, the fact that that pressure and anxiety is passed on to our kids. And the reason is because I think that I forget that I set the tone in my homeschool. I forget that when I am stressed, that I change my entire approach to our day to get it done. And when I'm in that mode of get it done, then my kids feel like they've got to get it done, and it's more focused on checking things off than it is about the experience or even really the retention or what they're learning or how they're learning it. None of that matters anymore because we're just focused on getting it done. And that is not the best way to approach learning. And if you are like, really? Then yes, let me tell you for the first time, that is not the best way to approach learning. Children do not learn the best in that environment. They don't learn the best in a pressured environment. They don't learn the best when our focus is on getting through as much material as we can and stuffing their little heads, instead of what's relevant to you, what's speaking to you, and making it make sense to you. That's when they learn the best. And so we have to get out of ourselves and out of our heads and out of that sense of pressure and anxiety and that we are carrying on our shoulders in order to create that kind of environment for our kids. But here's the tough part. It's one thing to sit here and talk about that. How do we actually let go of these expectations, of this pressure that we're facing, so that we can create the kind of atmosphere and environment that we want in our homeschools? All right, a really realistic thing that you can do, I mean, I'm talking realistic, is to sit down and make yourself a list of everything you have going on in your life. Everything. Write out the fact that you have to cook, that you bake from home, you do all your own baking. Write out the fact that you volunteer, or that you have violin lessons with this child, or that you've got homeschooling and homemaking and husband and self-care. And I want you to write out everything. I want to work out. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. There's a lot of things we want to do. And all those things we allow to put pressure on us. So make yourself a list of all the things that you want to do. And then sit down and evaluate how much time you have for each thing. Okay, so I'm talking about blocking out time. I'm talking about, okay, if self-care is on your list and that's important to you, because if you don't have a few minutes to yourself, you're gonna go crazy, then you need to think, okay, what's a good time for me to fit that in? Where are you currently fitting that in? For many of us, we're not. For many of us, the only time that we could fit that in is early in the morning. So when you realistically lay out your day, if that's the only time you can fit it in, then you need to get up early. And I know you don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it, but it's just going to have to probably be the reality for you. And the days that you don't get up early, you're essentially sacrificing self-care or having any moments to yourself. Because, you know, and maybe that's different for you. Maybe evening is a great time for self-care. For a lot of us, that's when husbands are home. That's when we're tired. That's when we want to just, you know, veg, watch a show, whatever. So depending on your family dynamic and your life, I want you to lay out everything that you want to do, lay out what you actually have time for. How many hours do you have for homeschooling? If you have a lot of extracurricular things, maybe it's not just extracurricular, maybe you volunteer, maybe you're involved in things, maybe you're working. If you can, try to limit it to a part of the day, because a lot of people have varying schedules. And so this day they got something in the afternoon, this day they have something in the morning, this day they have something in the afternoon. And so it's hard for them to ever come to a consistent routine. So what's easier for you is to, next time you're scheduling and planning, make all that extracurricular or all that co-op stuff or all that happen in either the morning or the afternoon. So you can come to at least a point of blocking out a set amount of time every single day for school. So maybe that's going to be morning. Okay, until 12, 9 to 12, those 3 hours we are doing school. I'm not answering the phone. I'm not looking at my smartphone. I'm not going on the computer. I am not going out with people. If I'm going to plan a play date, if I'm going to go to co-op, if I'm going to put the kids in an extracurricular thing, it's all going to happen in the afternoon so that I can block at least that time for school. So you start blocking out your time, blocking out your day, figuring out what you can fit. And at the end of that, if it does not fit, then you cannot do it. And you need to start prioritizing your time and figuring out what realistically can fit inside these blocked schedules of your day. You don't have to stick to a schedule. You can be flexible, but this process is going to help you identify where there's filler, where there's too much, and all those things that you want to do that you feel stressed or pressured because you're not doing them. You're going to start to visually see that it's not realistic, that you can't do it all. You can't do it all. And so that process can help us let go of and die to some of those expectations that we have when we start to see it all laid out and realize how limited our time is, and that if we want to make something happen, it will be at the expense of something else, because this is our day, this is our time, and this is the stuff that we have to fit in. So prioritize it, block it out, and start evaluating what you can realistically fit. You guys, this is so important. People ask, how do I let go of all these expectations? That is the number one thing that you need to do, is to start being real and honest with yourself about your life and your dynamics and your situations, and then you will start to see how it all plays out, and you'll start to identify where you're maybe not being honest with yourself currently. So you have to do that. You have to be honest with yourself. The second thing that you need to do is to stop listening to everyone else. If social media, and I will even admit to this, I'm a blogger, I'm online all the time. I'm going on to Instagram, I'm going on to Pinterest, and I see amazing pictures that I'm sharing and commenting on, and, you know, about homeschooling. And even myself, I have to catch myself from insecurity when I go and I see someone's beautiful homeschooling picture on Instagram. Part of their beauty in that homeschool picture is because they have a nicer house than me. They have a stunning house with like a grand piano in their living room and granite countertops and white walls and beautiful custom-made furniture. And yeah, it's stunning, and it makes their homeschool look nicer than mine. Not just the physical location, it makes their entire homeschool experience and journey seem nicer than mine. It makes me feel like I'm a hot mess and that I don't have enough, I'm not doing enough, and I'm discontent. It breeds discontent in me when I see other people's perfection. So If you're feeling that way when you're looking on Pinterest and you're looking on Instagram, it might be time to stop comparing yourself. And if you can't do that because you're looking at all the stuff, then stop looking at all that stuff. Stop filling your mind, your heart with these expectations that aren't realistic. Are you renting? Can you even do that? Can you financially? I could never afford to have a house. Maybe I'll have a house like that when I'm, my kids are grown and I'm older, and that's just not our reality. We are not rich people, and we will not have that while I've got young kids. There's no possible way I'm going to have that kind of dream granite, hardwood floors. It's just not going to happen. It's not. So I can sit here and feel discontent about it, or I can stop looking at those things because I know that every time I look at them, they're filling me with something that I can't even do anything about. They're not helping me. They're not inspiring me. They're making me unhappy. And so, you might need to stop looking at things that are making you unhappy. What's making you unhappy? What's adding to the pressure that you're feeling? The other place that we can get a lot of pressure from is from our friends, from communities, and we are using something and we're in a rhythm and we're in a routine, and then somebody shares about a curriculum. Maybe it's me. Maybe you come to my blog and Rebecca's done another review and you think, crap, what I'm using is not as good at that as that. I want that. I'm not happy with what I have. And so now I'm discontent. And so maybe it's literally this comparison idea of the grass is always greener on the other side. And every time you go out there to the information, crazy sea that is out there of just info about homeschooling, maybe what it's doing is making you feel discontent, making you compare yourself and making you feel like you're not doing enough. And all of that stuff breeds pressure that you're putting on yourself, that you're feeling like a failure. So I think a lot of times we need to check our expectations. I think a lot of times we need to be very careful about what we're listening to, what we're looking at, what we're filling our minds with, and sometimes just saying no. Okay, yeah, you know what? That sounds like a great curriculum for you. I'm so glad you're using that, and I might look into that when I need curriculum down the road. But right now we're using this, and right now it's working. Then stick with it. Even if there's something better out there, stick with it if it's working. When you're done and you need more curriculum, then go and look at all that other stuff. Make yourself a list. Make yourself a running list of things to check out when you need it. Not necessarily right now to just ditch everything. The only time I recommend ditching everything, which I do recommend, and I do a lot, I ditch. I just run. I'm like, we're leaving it. I recommend doing that only if it's not working for you. If it is working for you, it's like the sleeping baby thing. Don't wake the sleeping baby. I mean, it's working. Just stick with it. Anyways, I could say probably 50 more things about this, but this is getting long and I'm venting. And so I'm going to just simmer it down and end it with this. The pressure and expectation that you feel, you might be trying to fit in too much. You might be comparing yourself too much. You might be looking at things that are making you feel dissatisfied with your home and your homeschool. And then you're taking all that pressure and expectation and passing it on to your kids. Is it possible to let go of that? Yes, it is. But that is something that you need to be intentional about. Every time you feel the pressure, every time you feel the anxiety, every time you feel like you're not doing enough, that you need to get it done, get it done, get it done. Every time you identify that feeling in yourself, stop for a second. Just put your hand up and stop for a second. Have a little notebook somewhere and figure out or write down why. Why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling all of a sudden super stressed? It's because we have this and this and this happening this afternoon. Did I overbook myself? Maybe. Okay, so if you can't change it, you can't change it. But take note of that. Write it down. And next time, be aware of the fact that I cannot fit all that into a day. It's too much. It makes my whole, even if I have the morning for homeschooling, if I have 3 things in the afternoon, the weight on me makes my homeschool morning terrible and practically useless because I'm thinking about all the things I have to do that afternoon. So maybe I just need to have one thing and I cannot book more than one thing because it's too much pressure on my day. Or for someone like me, maybe you need nothing. I need no pressure. Any pressure is too much pressure. So my best days are the days when I have nothing on my plate and I can just homeschool my kids. So So identify what it is for you. And every time you feel that, be intentional about identifying why. Why? Because I had that conversation yesterday with my friend and it made me feel like there's something else out there and I'm not doing enough. Because my family member commented on how my kids were behind, and now I'm feeling like I'm not doing enough. Because I took this test with my kid and I realized that they're struggling in this area and I'm feeling like a failure. Identify why you're feeling the pressure. I can't tell you how to let go of the pressure if you cannot identify why. First, identify why you're feeling pressure. And then once you understand the root cause of it, you can start to evaluate, you can start to reassess. And if your homeschool is not what you want it to be, the only person that can make it what you want it to be is you. You are the only person. So identify it. Be realistic. Let go of things that are not realistic. If you can't change it into what you want it to be, I would love to have the granite countertops and the baby grand in my living room. Yes, I want to change my life to be that way. But it is not realistic. And so because it's not realistic, I have to let it go. And every time that comes up and I'm looking on Instagram and I see someone's beautiful house and I feel unhappy, I have to identify it and say, but that's not my life. My life is hot mess, Mom. That's my life. And accept it and let go of that and move on. So whatever is your core issue, whatever you are struggling with, however you're comparing yourself, or wherever those expectations are coming from for you, identify them and comment below. Share, you guys. I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas. I'm posting a lot more awesome stuff on my YouTube channel, so make sure to subscribe if you're interested for more of these videos, and I hope you guys have an amazing week and just keep calm and homeschool on.